Good afternoon, Coach, and everyone. We'll take the first question from John Corrales.
Amy, you talk a lot about giving multiple looks, throwing a lot of different looks at teams. Miami is a team that can do that a lot. They have a lot of different looks, especially with the zone. Given that historically your team hasn't handled the zone very well, how do you prepare for all of those possibilities in such a short turnaround?
We know that's one of their wrinkles defensively, a team that uses it quite a bit compared to other teams. I think more so than us struggling against the zone, we struggled a little bit early in the year, but I felt we found our groove later and did really well against it, where teams that tried it scored pretty easily and they got out of it. So we have multiple sets that we love to run against zones, and for us, getting clean looks, sometimes it's differentiated between making and missing a wide open shot, and they feel that's a good possession for them. And if you make it, they're out of the zone. So something we'll prepare for. We have saw quite a few clips of them running zone, and we've looked at ways to attack it.
Bobby Manning.
What's the plan going to be for Robert Williams' usage in this series? Just kind of where's he at, and how do you envision his role playing out in this series after Game 7 there? And how's Marcus doing after taking that big spill last night?
Yeah, Rob is available just like he was last night. I mentioned he'd be on a needed basis, and he's available, no minute restriction. I'm always going to be a little bit cautious with guys coming off of a layoff without touching the court, but it's a little bit different starting a new series as opposed to being injected into a Game 7 or Game 6 or whatever the case was before. But he's available, looking better every day, and getting more confident in that. Regarding Marcus, he took a pretty bad fall. He got bent up. He has a mid-foot sprain, and pretty tender and sore right now. But we'll get him around the clock treatment, and right now he'll be listed as questionable.
George at Nesson.
Hey, Ime, we saw as you went from the Nets series into the Bucks series, obviously that shock of facing a defense like what Milwaukee has, but now going from Milwaukee to Miami, another really good defensive team. How do you feel like that's prepared you guys to go into this series and get started on the right note?
Yeah, we obviously the defense picked up in the last series, and Miami's playing at a high level on that end, especially more so in the playoffs. And so we just talked about that. And with the group, we mentioned every series is different. That initial moment of change, I don't think we handled it the best against Milwaukee, and we want to do obviously a better job coming into Game 1 here tomorrow. And so something we are very conscious of and talked about and know the differences. We played them twice early and played them once recently, so know the team pretty well. But I'd say it's more traditional in what they're doing on both sides of the ball than a team like Milwaukee with a player like Antetokounmpo or even Durant to some extent. But they do have a lot of wrinkles that they'll throw. Extremely well coached team that's not going to beat themselves and is playing at a high level defensively that can mix it up on that end as well. So I have a work cut out for us, and we dug into that, and we'll have some more opportunities tomorrow before the game.
Gary Washburn.
Hey, Ime. 2 years ago in the bubble, and I know you were with Philadelphia, but the Celtics overcame a grueling 7-game series against Toronto. Nick Nurse threw every defense in the book at them, and it seemed like a sense of relief that, well, we can't get any see anything different. Then they got hit in the mouth by Miami, and they kind of took control of the series from the tip. Will you show them that, or will you watch that series and how it went down? And do you have to remind the players that, hey, like, I know, you guys saw Giannis and dealt through 7 games of him, but it's going to get tougher?
Are you saying watch the Miami series, previous one?
Yeah, from 2 years ago, that series and how it went down.
Yeah, we did mention it. The coaches that were here obviously went back and took a look at that. We talked about it amongst ourselves, and then players brought it up as well. We just saw this team and some of those similarities and what happened in that series. And so, I think us talking about kind of being caught off guard in Game 1 against Milwaukee will bode well for us going into this one, understanding there's a lot of differences with the teams we're facing and what they're all about, but being prepared is the main thing. You look at a lack of rest or preparation or whatever, but I also look at consistency and kind of some momentum on our side. And, we'll get out there and play, turn the page really quickly, just like we did after we lost Game 5. We had a night to get over it and figure out what we're going to do for 6 and 7, and that's the same thing with this series. Tough, hard-fought series just ended, but have to turn the page and focus on Miami now. And so guys have mentioned that. I think there's a lot of familiarity between the groups, and that should bode well for us.
Final couple of questions. First from Sean McGuire.
Hey, Ime, just kind of looking back on the series, and I feel like there were so many highlights. The Jalen dunk for Giannis in Game 1, and Al Horford in Game 4, and Tatum 5, and Grant just last night. When you look back on it, what are you going to kind of remember most?
The intensity and figuring out how to defend a high level player that's very unique. That always stands out. Figuring out how to attack a team that really packs the paint, protects the rim, and that's kind of the chess match and adjustment part that I love about it. Going through a playoff series, and so matching wits with another staff and coaching Coach Bud, who I know well, and just a hard fought. As you know, every round gets more intense, and so you understand that going into Miami. But looking back, just some of the things we overcame, not playing our best basketball and digging out some wins, and obviously bouncing back from a tough loss in Game 5, and how we put it behind us as a group, never wavered with our belief in ourselves, and came out and got 2 in a row. And so those things are defining moments for our team that should help us going forward. And so you look back you hear about the numbers of 82%, like I mentioned last night, teams that lose Game 5 lose the series, but showed our resiliency, and like I said, that helps us going forward as a team.
Tim Reynolds.
Thank you. Ime, you were with Pop and the guys last summer, and of course Spo was there for quite a bit of it. I'm curious what your relationship is like with Spo, and did you know him well, I guess, before that experience? I mean, I'm sure you crossed paths, but what did you sort of take away from his style over those few weeks you had together?
Yeah, I've known him since I was a kid in Portland. I watched him growing up at the University of Portland. Him and Damon Stoudemire playing pro-am games in the summer, so I've watched him since I was a kid, and he was high school teammates with Damon's cousin, so I know all about Eric. But in this capacity, obviously, what he's done and worked his way up, and I had 2 championship series against him with the Spurs my first 2 years. So not just the time spent with the Olympics, we got to know each other on a more personal level, all of us guys being from Portland, but played against him in 2 series and understand what he does with his team and different units, different lineups that he's had. He's always had success, and so one of the best coaches in the league, in my opinion. And it'll be a task for us because he has his team well prepared, hard fought, heat culture and mentality. And I got to know him on a more personal level in that time spent in Tokyo and preparations for the Olympics, but have known Eric for a while.
Thank you, Coach. We'll let you go.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Thank you.